Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Transmissions with AJ. Following on from last week's epic Lord of the Rings length podcast that we did, and we can basically contribute to that. We're back for another part two with Steven Beattie, legendary researcher. I've been flooded with messages and DMs, emails, all sorts from people, and even just like messages from friends saying how blown away they was by the information that was contributed last week. And we're here today to kind of carry on from that, but basically broaden the landscape so it's easier for people to kind of understand. I would, however, suggest rewatching, re-listening. When you can, if there's things that you don't understand. And because a lot of people have come back to me and said that they've rewatched our previous podcast last week a couple of times because there's so much vastness to this subject. We're not just talking about, child trafficking being a thing, or we're not talking about germ theory, or we're not talking about what is space. We're talking about like the literally massive layers and depths into the real history of the British Isles and subsequent other countries and places in Europe, which has been deeply hidden from us. So we're in an area, we're in a massive era of truth at the minute. Everywhere you look, by the hour, there's something new coming out, for people to stick their gaze on, and that's all great, but it's very, very much surface level. We're going deep now into the land. So please, if you have any questions at all during any of the podcast, please pop them in the comments, whether you're tuning in on Facebook or YouTube or X, and we'll try and get around to answering as many questions as possible. But obviously, I don't want to disrupt Steven's flow because there's so much vastness and wealth of knowledge sat right on the screen right now. And for those of you tuning in, listening on audio. Steve, we're about to show, my man. Do you want to should we just kick off straight away? And
thanks for taking me back, having me back in again. And we did try to get through quite a bit, but we didn't get through much the last time. But we did have an epic conversation and sharing. So let's see if we can share a bit more tonight. I've got a few things that I want to look at, and we'll start with this. This is a website called Sketchfab. It's just an online website. You can 3D image just about anything, but somebody's kindly put the standing stones in here, and there's quite a lot of standing stones and just lots of different things that people have made 3D images of. But what I want to look at is what's known as the Maiden Stone. And last week, I'm trying to jump right into it rather than, but last week, we were talking about Epstein and so on. And Epstein, people know me on Facebook because everything that we see in the news is a code in the heavens. And this Maiden Stone all ties in with the Epstein scenario. Because in this sort of Epstein story that we see in the news, you've got Epstein himself, Jeffrey Epstein, and Jeffrey means divine or God. God is free, or free is God, and peace is God, and that's what Jeffrey means. So you get Jeffrey and you've got Epstein. Now Epstein is Epstein, the epicenter, and this stone we are looking at is under the North Celestial Pole in Aberdeen. Yeah, and this part, this is why it's called the Maiden Stone. This part here is a mirror and a comb. Now these stones are 5,000 years old or older. Okay. Not just me,
amazing.
Anders Collins in his book, who I mentioned before. People need to get that book, Starstones and Scholars, because Anders Collins goes into absolute detail, pinpointing 3 times over the British Isle where the centre of heaven is marked. It's marked 3 times over the British Isle, once in the North Celestial Pole, once in the centre of England, Wales, and once over in Ireland, in the south of Ireland. And all the stars have been marked by our ancestors on stones. So all the stones throughout Britain, 3 times it's been marked, this story of a great dragon, a maiden, and a house. And at the top of this stone, you will see here that it's Sagittarius, it's centaurs. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun here. They're not very clear, but we're here in a folder which I can show later on. But these are centaurs, and this represents Sagittarius. And there's another couple of centaurs you can't really see in this sort of 3D image there at the top. And then there's a square box with a door. That's a house, yeah. And then you've got this, what they call a Pictish dragon. They say that these stones are Pictish, but if you read the works of Combs Beaumont, you'll see that these aren't Pictish, they're actually Hittite. Story of Epstein, epistone, the epicenter, the Epstein, right? And here's the maiden. Now, in the story on the news that we have, everything that in the news is from the heavens. In the story, we have Virginia Louise Guthrie, who I think she was she not the one who Prince Andrew is supposed to have molested? Virginia Guthrie, who died, yeah? Or supposed to have committed suicide. So this stone's actually telling the story of Adam and Eve. When you get into it, when you realize that this here represents Cassiopeia, this represents Cephas in the heavens, and this represents Cassiopeia. And when you put the work of L.A. Waddell, his books, the origins of the Britons and the Saxons, the Phoenician origins of the Britons and the Saxons, when you take the work of Combs Beaumont, and when you take all my research goes back to when I was 9, 10, and I grew up around these stones. And then when I was 17, I get into religion, and I realized, wait a minute, that's kind of the story I'm seeing on the stones. Now, the legend of this stone in Aberdeenshire, the Maiden Stone, the legend is everybody will see that there's a chip in this corner. You see it here? Okay, a virgin, a young maiden was to be married. And she was by the stream next to the lake. Is significant in all religions. And she picked a strange flower. It was a lotus leaf. And the man appeared. And meet me here tomorrow, meet me here the next day. It's still occurrences. What it is the man then tricks her and says, I bet you cannot make your buns. She's making buns, bread, pan bread. The first god is called Pan. Scottish bread is called pan. It's flat bread, yeah? It's bread without yeast. It's unleavened bread. Now that should ring bells with the Bible story, yeah? So she's making unleavened bread, and this man appears on the last day and says to her on the 7th day, I bet you I can make a road to the top of that hill, which was the pole of heaven. I can make a road to the top of that hill before you bake your breads. And she says, nah, never. The flat breads, they just bake them in the pan. They're only a few minutes. And she said, yeah, okay, thinking that she would win, obviously. And it turned out that she'd made the bread, and the man came back, and the bread wasn't even finished. In this sort of myth, this story, this folklore that we have here with this stone, the bread wasn't finished, and the man came back and said, I built the road to the top, you must marry me. And she said, no, I'm due to be married to the kings. She was a princess. To the kings, to the prince. I can't marry you. And the man got angry and showed himself as the devil. And this is the beast here, the Pictish beast, the devil. And this is Cetus the beast. Now, when you use comparative mythology and comparative cultures, and you look at all how the Egyptians seen in the heavens as these creatures, you recognize that this is Set, where we get the word Satan. Not Saturn, but this is Set, Egyptian Set. And this is the maiden. We also know the story is Persephone, and right next to this stone, there is a standing stone called Persephone. Now, the whole story of Epstein is the maiden, the young maiden, Virginia Louise Guthrie. The word Virginia America's set up this way. You've got Virginia and Columbia and DC. Yeah. It's all set up in the heavens, and it's all set up in the land all over the world. So Virginia is Latin for Virgo. So Virgo's the maiden. Yeah. We all know about the virgin birth and the Virgo. Yeah. The sun being born in Virgo and the Son of God and the Virgin Mary and all that sort of stuff. So this Epstein victim who's supposed to have committed suicide, Virginia Louise Giuffre, she's the maiden to be sacrificed. Now, the maiden is also Andromeda in chains. Andromeda in chains, right? So what we're looking at here now is Stellarium software, okay? And what you're seeing here is Cassiopeia with a mirror. Let's see if we can get in. So on the standard stones in the north of Scotland, there are hundreds of stones. I could sit here all night showing pictures of this mirror and the stone and a crescent moon and two balls of fire coming out of the heavens. That's Apollo and Diana coming down. And a plasma charge came down because she's looking in the mirror. And what is this about? Why does Eve get the blame? It's Cassiopeia. This is Adam. Cephas is Kepha, right? Cephas means Kepha, and Kepha means Peter, and Peter is Peter's pearly gates. And if your viewers can see there, it's a house. You see it? Upside down.
Yeah.
A house. This is the house of God. This is Peter's pearly gates where we all go. And next to Peter, next to Adam, we have a big dragon. The dragon that was cast out in the book of Revelation. And I saw a dragon that was cast out. The reason why is because this here, see this right here, NCP, not the car parks. And everybody's like, why have you got an NCP logo on your videos? It's like, it stands for North Celestial Pole. But, let me take a wee drink. I'm very dry. This is the center of heaven, the pole star. So everything, if I go down to this clock here, which has just crashed on me, can you believe that? It just crashed on me when I went on to it. Sorry, and then it's crashed again. Okay, well, how's that doing that? Anyway, these things are meant to be. Anyway, everything moves round in an anti-clockwise direction up here, right? It spins round that center. Everything goes round like that. Sorry, I can't use my clock, but it goes round like that. Everything up here, right?
Yeah.
Now, whereas, and this here is called the North Celestial Pole. This is Adam and Eve, and this is her and the temptation looking in the tree, and there's the serpent, you see. Now, these stones, that's what the stones in Aberdeenshire are showing. Here is the house of Cephas. See the door? There's the house. The roof is gone on the house, and on top of the house is Sagittarius. Now, there's a reason for that. I'm trying to explain. I actually made a video a while ago. Let me see if I can find that video. Wow, I've got so many pages open now. Wait a minute. I've got a video. I'll find it. I had a video, and some may have seen it, when I done a talk, and sorry if I'm coming away from this, but there is a video here. Oh man, where is it? The chakras and the planets. Yeah, here we go. I done a video. Now I'm going to go back to the Sagittarius. Keep me in the Sagittarius mind. Don't let me forget what I was saying there. But Sagittarius on that stone. You see here, you've got centaurs.
So we're going to assume that we are. Let's assume that this person is looking straight ahead. I mean, you're looking at the back of them. All right. So,
right. Well, okay. Right, this is the video I wanted to show, though. Now I made this video. Somebody else made the video, and then I remade the video. Now, if you imagine the spine of Albion, okay? Everybody see this chakra video, this chakra, yeah? So this is the root chakra, and London is the root chakra. And then as you move up the solar and so on and so on, and the crown is up here. Now, the crown sits beside Hercules. There's Hercules, and there's the crown right next to it. Well, I'm going the wrong way around again. There's the crown there, Corona Borealis, yeah? So there's the crown at the top chakra, and the spine of Albion runs right down Britain, right down to the south of England. And so what we have here, you have the North Celestial Pole, the top of the Tree of Life, and the South Celestial Pole, the bottom of the Tree of Life. Now, this corresponds to the crown chakra on the head. So Scotland is the head. This is Hadrian's Wall. This is the body that Christ talks about. Christ is the head, consciousness. All the standing stones in Scotland have Pegasus, hippos, horses, and the horse is to do with the hippocampus, the mind, the upper room that Christ talks about. When you see the man with the water pitcher, we've just moved into the age of Aquarius, go to the upper room. Now, Britain has been laid out as such, and everything materialistic comes from the Muladhara chakra, the lower consciousness. Now, what I've done with this video is to try and the standing stones over the UK are laid out such and such a way. Okay. Do you see that? How my thing is moving, the arrow? They're in a zigzag. So all the houses, so for example, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, all the standing stones throughout. And this is what the maps that I was showing at the beginning of the other week, the 3 maps of Scotland, England, Wales, and Ireland. Our ancestors and Angus Collins in his book identified where all the houses are over the 3 parts of the body, because Christianity isn't what we think it is. Christianity is esoteric Gnosticism, and it's teaching about the heavens. And the head is the Christ consciousness, which we should all be living in now. The gut is the 7 gods that rule over us, the 7 planets. And the lower realm is the underworld of materialism, lust, desires, and all that. Now, why is Sagittarius so important, right? The way that we measure time just now, what's been shown on these standing stones here is what happened 5,000 years ago. What we're seeing is the house of Cephas, Adam, right? That's Adam, with a lightning bolt coming through Adam, okay? In between Adam, there are 4 panels here, but in between Adam, there's a beast, which is Cetus, the beast, the Kraken. What's the crack, the Irish people would say? What's the trouble? What's the crack? Yeah, what's going on? That's the Kraken. Cetus, the beast, also known as the Leviathan. The Pictish, they call it the Pictish dragon now. Aberdeenshire and Inverness have hundreds. I can show more. I've got so many, hundreds and hundreds. All the stones have this image. You don't find them in the Middle England. You don't find them in the south of England. You don't find them in the south of Ireland. These images is frequent. You'll find some because our ancestors were all related and they all travelled and told the stories. But you'll find them everywhere. Hundreds, over 200 standing stones in the Aberdeen area show this Pictish beast and this separation of a house and a woman, who, if you put it together and you look at the heavens, you can see that that woman is Cassiopeia. Now, this is a Greek version of the heavens. The good thing about this software, and which I've had to do, is you have to understand, these people who control us use all the religions. So to understand how they manipulate the news by the heavens, you sometimes have to jump between the main sort of religions. And these are like the Babylonian. And when you click on such as like here, the Babylonian, if I just move that away, you will see that the characters all change. You see? You still get the great dragon. Yeah?
Yep.
You've still got Aquarius, which is interesting. Aquarius, the water bearer, NKA. So here you have Draco, who's known as Ukadur, and here you have an old man. Instead of Cephas, it's an old man. That brings me back to "Old Man, Look at Yourself." What's that song? Who's that again? Famous singer for the 60s and that. And
just a quick one, Stephen. Just before we move on, I've got a comment, a question from someone quickly that whilst you're on this subject, I'll just get up on the screen. Claire's asked, where in the UK are the 3 heavens mapped?
Yeah, I will get to that. I'll show exactly where the 3 heavens are mapped entirely. There are 3 portions to the heavens. Let me see. See this here? This is called the North Celestial Pole, and this part ends at Hadrian's Wall. Okay, so all these things. Actually, let me flip back. Let me go back. I was trying to show the Babylonian. To work things out, you need to jump between the calendars, and that's what I've been doing for years. You jump between the calendars to get the characters, to read the news, to read the codes. And it's the only way you can actually understand what's going on in the stones as well. So let's go to the modern calendar. I'm going to go back to the Babylonian is very interesting. It's an eye-opener. Cassiopeia and Cepheus disappear, and you have a king, a queen on the Babylonian calendar, and a hired man in the middle. And that's the story of Arthur and Guinevere that we have. Arthur goes away, leaves his kingdom. Lancelot's in charge, the hired man, and he ends up falling in love with Guinevere, Eve. Guinevere means Eve, juniper, just the same word, Eve. But the story of Arthur that we have is this ancient Babylonian version of the heavens. Here in the Greek version, we only had Cassiopeia and Cepheus, but we do have another character who's Andromeda, and she's the maiden. You see now what whoever was asking there. Sorry, I forgot the name. She was asking, where is it over 3 times over Britain? And I had to come back to this modern Greek sort of version to show us, because this North Celestial Pole, all these move around in an anti-clockwise direction. All these move around in a clockwise direction. And this at the bottom moves around in a clockwise direction. Our time moves around in a clockwise direction. The ecliptic portion of the sky moves around in a clockwise direction. And this, everything circles Polaris the opposite way in an anti-clockwise direction. And when you get to Hadrian's Wall, Orion is Hadrian's Wall. Everything up here that's all Scotland has in the heavens above it. We can see Orion and all that on the horizon, but the further north you go, all you see are these constellations here. And then when you go to, and it's a great question whoever it is asking, because there's been a lot of confusion over the shape of the Earth. Is it flat? Is it round? Is it what is it got a hollow or whatever? But what I've been able to do, I got into realizing the Earth was not a globe because I was mapping standing stones and they weren't aligned. I said that I think last week in your show. So what I've realized is this north central pole, all this part of the heavens, just if everybody can see my mouse turning here, this part of the heavens, I'll try and see and put it down. All this part has been mapped in Southern Ireland. All this part, and only this part, all this underneath here, under Cetus and Orion, right? That's in the south of Ireland. It's also in the south of England at Barbeacon, or Herefordshire Beacon, sorry. So all these circle around Herefordshire Beacon in Herefordshire. And you like Stonehenge and all that. This Stonehenge is the underworld there.
Yeah.
People are encouraged to go to Stonehenge and say the Salisbury, as I said to you the other week, it's Bury. It's the underworld. Everything below Orion is to do with death. And you have to examine the Egyptian, you have to examine the Greek, you have to examine the Thracian, and you have to jump between the sky cultures in order to get the story. You have to read the mythologies of the story. But basically what has happened is from the North Celestial Pole, okay, you'll see up here at the North Celestial Pole, we have Hercules standing. Oh, get it back down. Yeah, you see Hercules standing. He's wrestling these serpents. This is Hydra, okay? And this here is the Draco, the great dragon in Revelation that was cast down, and he's standing on it, on his foot. And the reason why is because this maiden here, she's looking in her mirror, and this represents Eve, and the dragon represents your carnal desires. The dragon energies or the Kundalini energies can be good or bad, but they coil 3 times at the bottom of the spine at the South Celestial Pole in the underworld. So throughout a certain time of the year, 3 months, 4 months, when we're in darkness, i.e. Christmas time and stuff like that, they're coiled at the bottom. And that represents your Muladhara chakra. And so when it comes to Christmas and all that, they have us focus. This is why this stone's important here. Sagittarius is shown here. Yeah. Now, if you look at the calendar now, I couldn't even get the time wasn't working on this, was it? Damn. how I maybe need to shut this down and open it up again because I need the date. If you look at the sky in real time, okay, everybody was doing ceremonies, cacao ceremonies and Campbell ceremonies and bathing themselves and drum ceremonies on the solstice on the 21st of December. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people probably were because it was the solstice. Now we recognise the solstice as being December, Capricorn. Anybody born in around about Christmas time is usually a Capricorn now. But what's the standing stone showing us here? Sagittarius. Sagittarius. Yeah. It's Sagittarius, the archer. Now, I've got a post on my page about Sagittarius, and I suggest that, you know, people go and read that. There it's there. It's about Sagittarius. What's so important about Sagittarius? So we see Sagittarius on the standing stones here. Why would you put Sagittarius on the standing stones? It's a heavenly tale. What actually happened is there was a plasma event. It hit the house of Cephas because of Adam and Eve's vanity. And something got between Adam and Eve. And that, again, this is the story of Arthur. Arthur goes to fight a great war to slay dragons. And while he's away, he leaves a hired hand in. And Jesus talks about this in the New Testament. That's what I'm saying. The Bible is an esoteric book. He talks about the father leaves the land to a hired servant or to a hired man. And the wolf comes and the wolf devours and eats everything. And the army comes and destroys everything. And then the servant runs away, or the hired man runs away. And abandons the house, and then when the father sends the son, they kill the son. And the father gets angry, and he comes himself and sorts it. That's the story of the house of Cephas, because what we're actually seeing in the heavens is the Phoenician. Our ancestors were Hittites, Phoenician, and our ancestors were taken into slavery by what became the Egyptians. And the system that runs everything today is still Egyptian. And on the back of this is the back of the stone here. You see, and at the back, it's not very clear, but you've got two dragons here, and you've got a little child and a cross. I do have other images, and then you've got this spiral at the bottom with three twirls. The three twirls always represent the underworld. So the underworld, Orion's belt, and then the upper celestial realm. And this is what sorry, wrong one. I was going to try and open this again. This software was crashing on me. So yeah, this stone is actually showing us the story of Adam and Eve, and it's not just this stone. There are hundreds of stones, Aberdeenshire, showing the same. And it's not just that. This is what I was been marking since I was 10. I came across the books, Andes Collins and the Starstones and Scholars just a couple of years ago, and I came across Combs Beaumont's book just a few years before that, and it's these books that confirm my research that go on to show that the spine of Albion represents the tree of life. The top of the spine of Albion represents the mind. The body represents England and Wales and part of Ireland, and the lower part of the body, which is all to do with the chakras. And the standing stones all throughout the British Isles actually shows us. But what I've done here, I'll go back to this one with the chakra. This video I made a long time ago. It was somebody else's video, yeah. Now, our December, we're stuck in we think we're in Capricorn, right? But actually, if you go in real time and you look at the heavens in December, and hopefully I can do this now. It's not crashed this time. Is everybody still with me? Yeah.
Yeah, all good, man.
Sorry. Right, so we're going to December. Let's go to the 6th of December and let's put everything up in the sky. This is what the standing stone. I'm trying to show that the story of Adam and Eve is the story of the heavens falling down, and we have been tricked and stuck in time. And by being stuck in time, we are also forgetting that the land of Britain, we don't need to go anywhere else. It's all here. It's always been here. Everything is here, and our ancestors marked out the stone to show that. But if you look here, you can see I'm on the 6th of December. Yeah? You see, the 6th of December, 2025. And it's 1433. Not for any reason, the 33 or anything. I just came up with that. But you can see the sun. Now, what determines... We think the sun is in Capricorn, December. Yeah? Okay? So December. And why it's important is because on the 15th of December, the bright star known as Sirius rises in Orion. Okay? And Orion's belt, the three wise men, the Magi. Okay? Now that's important, that word, because Sirius rises on the 15th of December. The three Magi of the Bible recognized that the Christ, something was going to happen, right? Was to be born. Now we celebrate the solstice because the sun dies in Capricorn. Okay? And for 3 days, and then rises again on the 25th. So the Son of God is reborn on December the 25th. Right? And we've been taught that through institutions and churches and astronomy forever. Now let me go. The sun is in Scorpio on the 7th. The sun is moving. We can see the sun is moving, right? Now go and read my post about Sagittarius. Anybody who's watching this just now, the sun is in Sagittarius. Now the story is that Sagittarius is killing the Scorpio, and the Scorpio kills Orion. Right? Kills the ego, kills the man, kills the Christ. Orion represents the Christ, and it's the Scorpio that kills Orion. And the sun in Sagittarius is on the 30th. So let's go back, right? On Christmas, on the 21st, which is the solstice, the sun is just moving into Sagittarius. You see that? Not Capricorn. Where's Capricorn? Let's see where Capricorn is. Let's move forward, right? When is the sun truly in Capricorn? Truly in the heavens in Capricorn. Boom. The 24th, around about the 20th to the 24th. We could say it's in Capricorn around about the 20th of January. Okay? So everything has been fixed in Capricorn since the Babylonian times. Since the year 432, definitely, we can say. We don't know how long it's been fixed, the calendar. That's the thing, yeah. But what I'm trying to show here is our ancestors, those who put the standing stones up, those who are Jason and the Argonauts and all that, they're showing us that the way that we work the energies, Capricorn, Aquarius, that what we understand is Capricorn and Cancer, the equinoxes, yeah? So this is the winter, Capricorn, winter solstice, Cancer is the summer solstice, right? So everybody out there is working the energies. And I put this map together because this represents Britain. And all over Britain, there are standing stones representing different houses. And for me, the houses up here all matched, but all the houses down here didn't match. The standing stones matched like that there. The story of, that last stone that I had up matches right above is Cephas, right above is Cassiopeia, right above us is, so the stones below us should tell the stories. But when you get further south, when you get into England, they've changed it. They've changed it because everything's stuck between Capricorn and Cancer. But our ancestors aren't showing us that on the stone. What they're actually showing us on the maiden stone is the lightning bolt came and hit in Sagittarius. Yeah? And we've been stuck in our calendar is 30 degrees off. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a whole and so all the houses that we think we are born into aren't the houses we're born into at all. Now, there's a lot of talk about Ophiuchus being the 13th house. I don't personally believe Ophiuchus is the 13th house. There are 12 houses. Ophiuchus does not appear in any of the standing stones. All the houses do. And I've studied the standing stones since I was 10. And I know that Ophiuchus is, what Ophiuchus represents is the spirit of man, the mind of man, the body of man, united, standing up, holding the serpent out, straight, upright. That's what Ophiuchus is in the heaven. And Ophiuchus came in the age of Aquarius, because Aquarius and Ophiuchus are twins, they're brothers. In the heaven.
It's just wanted to elaborate on something because you mentioned it a few times. You're talking about ancestors, and I speak to a lot of people daily, and obviously experience a lot myself. And I really feel that our ancestors are coming through us and through Earth and through like everything you said. So at the start of the episode, you were talking about how the whole Epstein stuff coming out is because it's from the epicenter. It's all happening now because it's like in the heavens, right? At a time when people are receiving, or the ability to receive, much higher frequencies and information through the crown chakra and the throat as well, especially to be able to receive truth. And it's just really interesting, all the conversations I've been having, that in meditations and stuff like that, get a lot of ancestral stuff coming through. So it seems at the minute that just like us doing this podcast is very much linked to the deeper knowings, almost like a real-time a real-time signal for the ancestors, for the people that are watching, to really tap into actually everything that's happening right now on a surface level is literally happening because it's scripted, as part of this matrix. And all of this is showing us actually, our true path to home, in essence.
Absolutely. We are mind, body, and spirit. That's what we are. There's always a trinity. And I pulled this map up because you're talking about our ancestors, and the ancestors are scattered to the ends of the earth. When the Bible talks about the tribes of Israel being scattered, it's British people. The British people came from here, from Ireland, from this circle, the core, the quarry, the family, the circle, the core, the apple. This is the core of those core or quarry. And this all ties to the maiden stone, because the maiden stone is all tied to the pomegranate. And Persephone eats the pomegranate. And the Gaelic word for pomegranate is Sid, or apple is Sid. And the word Sid is also Orion's first wife. And we in Gaelic, we say the word, we don't pronounce it Sid. It's spelled Sid, S-I-D-H-E in Gaelic. But Orion's first wife is Sheen, or Banshee. Banshee. It's where we get the word Banshee. Sheen, a Banshee. And I was talking about pan and bannock buns, bannock cake, bannock bread. It's all tied to the story, because the story Pan is the first god, and Pan is Ursa Major, Ursa Minor. Peter Pan, the house of Peter. You see, Peter, the sun used to set in the house of Peter, and Peter. The house used to set in the house of Peter, and something happened in history where the serpent cult came in, and they went down into Ireland and set up what we understand through the Tuath Danann, which is the tribes of Dan. They set up what we understand as the Catholic religion, and from the Catholic religion, they created Islam and Christianity and all the other religions. But all the religions are based on this story in the heavens, where Cephas, Peter, Kepha, or Peter Pan, because Pan is the first god, and Ursa Major, Ursa Minor represent the plough or the Pan, the great Pan in the heaven. But, trying to get to the bottom of all this, the way you can get to understand it or take it in properly is you need to go back to the ancient, like the Babylonian. This is where most of the information in the heavens for me, and the mythology. When you can take the Babylonian mythology, look at the Greek mythology, and look at the heavens, that's when you begin to see the picture. But what we're actually seeing is what I've learned, and this is not just my opinion. This is what other people, L.A. Waddell, so L.A. Waddell, W-A-D-D-E-L-L, and Combs Beaumont, they've already came to the conclusion that these British Isles are the ancient lands of the Greeks, the Thracians, the Macedonians, the Hittites, the Phoenicians, the Egyptians. Northern Ireland is ancient Egypt, all descendants of Enki, Egypt, you see, Aquarius. The sun, and all this happened in the time of Aquarius, which is the time of the Great Flood. And Enki is Aquarius. And what I'm trying to get here, what I've discovered, let me just put it plainly what happened, okay? Let me put plainly what happened and what these stones are saying here. So inside everything, this is the winter solstice, right? As it is now. When we look at the sky now, right? So in winter, and the sun is in Sagittarius, yeah? The true winter, right? Or no. And when we get to January, that's really when we're in Capricorn. So they put us, we're a month, we're by Christmas and all that, they make us a month ahead, if you know what I mean, yeah? We're a whole month ahead. really, the way Christmas is. But this is what the standing stones are telling us, right? So what actually happened 5,000 years ago? According to Anders Collins and according to Combs Beaumont, they kind of differ by a couple of hundred years in their opinion. But Combs Beaumont was a meteorologist, and he reckons that about 3,500 years ago, there was a comet that came out the sky, and we also see this. I've marked this in all the standing stones. There are two balls and on the standing stones, and that is the sun and the moon split, right? The sun and the moon in the sky fell from the heavens. Now, I've got a picture here. I can show you the Sumerians. I actually made a post on my YouTube yesterday showing you the Sumerians. The Sumerians were showing the same thing. You've got this dragon thing holding, which represents Orion, holding a pine cone. And above the pine cone, you can see Saturn. You can see the sun, the moon, and you can see Sagittarius. You can see the goat. It's all in the, even in the Sumerian things. But what actually happened is 5,000 years ago, roughly 5,000 years ago, 3,100, 3,500 BC, a plasma event. The sun and moon fell out the sky, and they hit the house of Cephas and separated Adam and Eve completely. And their daughter, Andromeda, fell out the heavens. And this is the story of Eve's fall. And this is the story of our bondage. See, the legal bondage that we're all under. This is why most people will know that I talk about the legal stuff. Now, what you've got here is Cassiopeia and Andromeda, the daughter of, in the Greek version, right? And she's sacrificed to a rock, and Perseus and the serpent, he's got Medusa's head there. Perseus comes and rescues her, yeah? And there's Cetus, the beast that's coming to eat her. This represents the maiden, right? We've been talking since the last time as well about Epstein and stuff like that. This here is Virginia Louise Guthrie, the Virgo, meaning the maiden or the virgin. Louise means the warrior or princess of renown. Now, princess of renown takes me back to, there were giants in those days and men of renown in the Bible, yeah? Mm-hmm. But her title is Virginia Louise Guthrie, and this represents the story of the Epstein. She is the sacrifice to the beast system. Cetus is the beast system. Now, the woman who's committed suicide, it might be true, it might not be, but it's a story in the heavens of Adam and Eve and the stone. And Eve, meaning evening, Lilith. In Hebrew, the word for evening is Lila. It's the word Lilith. If I was to say to you in Hebrew, good night, I would say Lila Tov means Lilith. This is Eve, the Lilith character, Adam's other wife. So it's all hidden in Kabbalah too. But this is Virginia Louise Guthrie, the one who Andrew was photographed over, and the one who's committed suicide. And the word Louise means renowned warrior, famous princess of battle. And her name Guthrie, it means judge or magistrate. It also means warden. And each one of us, if you vote, are in a constituency, in a ward, and your MP is the warden, you see? Yeah, a magistrate, a ward. Every one of us are in wards. Your constituency is a ward. So the name Guthrie means judge. I'm talking about Virginia Louise Guthrie. And this is the story of Andromeda. Because what the story of Adam and Eve is Eve looked upon her own desires and took of the fruit, the apple, the circle, the core, and she ate of the fruit, or pomegranate. And the story in the Greek story is Cassiopeia, Eve, and her daughter Andromeda boasted of their beauty, boasted of everything they had. And so Poseidon got angry, Hades got angry, the underworld got angry, the watery world, the maritime world got angry, and it sent a great beast. And this is what's on the standing stones. This is the same beast, the same story. And this is the same story we get in the book of Revelation. So, yeah. But, where were we? Let's go to...
Just
so,
touching quickly, mate, on the Epstein stuff. Is that like, would you agree, obviously, with it being like at the epicenter and this, the judge and all that kind of stuff? Do you think this is all just exploding as planned into the media, into the consciousness, because humanity's ready for it now as we're approaching sort of or speeding up the ascension process of humanity?
I'll try and show what it is. It's a very good question there. Let me show you. Let me put these two things in to show you again what it is. I'll try to explain what it is. Where we're at is we have lived too long in the material and false spiritual sort of. What's happened? That's not come up again. We've lived in the material world so long that we don't know what to value anymore, or what is, true or genuine anymore. But with my software, for some reason, this is there. See here, the North Celestial Pole. I have not got my grid. Wait a minute, what's going on? There we go. That's the wrong one. What about it? Right. So, right. I was talking about here. This here, the North Celestial Pole, is the tree of life. Everything that circles here is the tree of life. Everything here is the tree of good and evil, the knowledge of good and evil. And the world that we live in, the material world, comes from here. Everything commercial comes from the bottom of London. Everything is ruled by the bar and the bar society and the four inns. The whole world, the whole corporate world and the whole corporate shams run from the South Celestial Pole. Now, it's been run that way since the early Babylonian, since the Bronze Age, since these standing stones. See these standing stones? That's what I'm trying to show. They've stuck the calendars and what we call December at Christmas time. The sun is in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius means half man, half horse, animalistic nature, human nature, upper man, lower man, animalistic man. And what Sagittarius should be about for us is conquering the beasts, shooting our arrows at the serpent, killing the monsters, which are the beast system, right? But instead, they've got us in the goat, Capricorn, which is one of the beasts of the heavens. And Capricorn is half goat, half beast. It's no human form at all. And Capricorn is where we're told in mythology, Zeus the lightning bolt goes down into Capricorn. When he's a young boy, Zeus, his father's going to eat him. So he goes to Capricorn to get fed milk from the bottom of the Milky Way. And he grows up on the milk of the goat, which is the Baphomet, yeah? So Capricorn, we're stuck in the Baphomet. Every year our focus is on Halloween, Christmas, and it's all stuck on, focused on Capricorn. But we're not in Capricorn on December. In December, we're actually still in Sagittarius, and we don't move into Capricorn until the 10th, 15th, or the 20th of January. So everybody's energy, when we should be conquering the beast system, when we should be living in the head, because Capricorn represents the horse, the Sagittarius represents the horse, the hippocampus, the head, and the body of Sagittarius, the man, the upper man, represents the Christ risen over the animalistic. And if you look at this, you'll see that Sagittarius is arched. He's the archer, yeah. He's arched like the dome of heaven. He's at the top of the standing stone. He's not down the bottom. Now, as we look at heaven, Sagittarius is down there in the ecliptic, yeah. Now, what I'm trying to show here is, what our ancestors is trying to show here is there are three levels of the heavens. This is the upper mind, where the animalistic beasts can be ruled over by the Sagittarius. And the calendar's still that way today. Our solstice is in Sagittarius, not Capricorn, but yet we have been focused in every way to focus on Capricorn, which is where Zeus, the lightning, goes, the currency, the electricity, the endless lightning bolt here, dividing the house, dividing the nature of man and woman, male and female, left brain, right brain, because that's what Cassiopeia, the woman is always right. Yeah, we've got sayings like this. The woman's always right. Why is she always right? Because she's right brain, emotion. And this is what the system is. The system is emotion. And these standing stones are telling us the system. Scotland and England and Ireland and Wales are the body. And this is the head, and this is the body, and this is the spirit. Yeah. Religion comes from Ireland and the body, and there's left and right, there's left mind, right brain, and the dragon system, the dragon energies that we bring up, our desires, our passions. And this is what the mirror is all about. We're reflecting into our inner desires, the Kundalini energies that go up the back of the mind. So what I'm trying to show, what I'm trying to teach people is this: Britain is the physical body of Adam, it's the physical body of Osiris, it's the physical body of Nimrod, it's the physical body of, it's the physical body. That's why it looks like a man, not on my map, because you can hardly see it. But, and the feet of Orion, because Orion is the Christ that we need to kill. Orion. So we should be living in the upper mind. That's what I'm trying to say. But we've been made to live in the lower material realm. And we have to find an in-between ground between the middle realm and this Orion's belt. This bit here. If I move it round, let's move it by an hour. Look at Orion, right? You see Orion going clockwise, yeah. See Orion here, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll go back. He's not going to go clockwise now because I've gone back. But I'm moving through the hours, and Orion's going forward, and you see that he's fighting the Taurus as he moves. So as time goes forward, he goes clockwise, right? That's time. We live in Orion. This part of the sky is called the ecliptic. This part of the sky is called the North Celestial Pole. This is the upper mind. This is our waking daytime hours. The zodiac and hours pass through this time. And this is the hidden world, the underworld, the material world, the corporate world that's hidden from us, a duality, a reflection of above and so below. And there's an in-between world. And, this is what's mapped over Britain. This entire lot's mapped over Britain, but Britain or Scotland is the head, the upper realm. And all the standing stones are telling us to live in the upper room in this time of Aquarius, because NKA is Aquarius. NKA is the one who has returned. And what we're going to see, what has actually happened here is there was at one time, maybe 10,000 years ago, there was one pole in heaven. There is still one pole, but everything circled the north, everything. So all these stars here were up here. And then a plasma event came, knocked the sun and the moon out of the sky, and created a middle realm and an underworld. Yeah. And the lands appeared at the same time. So London appeared out of the swamp, the underworld. Yeah.
Drain the swamp.
Yes, it's in the swamp, drain the swamp. That's why they keep saying drain the swamp. That's why Trump is saying drain the swamp. He wasn't talking about American swamps. He was talking in London, the underworld. Orion is overlaid. And what Orion represents, this middle part represents you and me. Orion represents the physical Christ, Osiris. He represented Osiris. He represents the god of the living and the god of the dead to the Egyptians. He also represents that Osiris gets killed and raised up again. Now, if you know the story, Osiris, his wife Sirius, picks up 14 parts of his body. He couldn't find the penis, and so she makes the penis. Well, Sirius, Isis is Sirius, and Sirius is the bright star that comes up on the 15th of December and shows us in Orion where the Christ is born. And that's all to do with the resurrection of Osiris again, because Sirius is Isis, the bright star that appears in our sky in the northern hemisphere underneath Orion's belt. And that, for us, again, has all been flipped because we're being told the calendar's fixed in Capricorn, So we're missing this. We should be ruling over the Orion nature, the material nature, the straw man. The straw man. Orion is the straw man that must be put to death. So when you get taken to court, it's not you that's taken to court, it's Orion. You have to say, no, that's not me. That's a fake, that's a character. That's not me. That's made up. He's got my name. That's the whole story of Orion, Osiris. The Christian name must be put to death. And this is what the standing stones are showing us. The standing stones are showing us here that Adam got knocked out of heaven, and Adam represents Orion. The physical man stuck on the physical plane in the middle realm, the Middle Earth, the battle for Middle Earth, yeah? There's an upper world, a Middle Earth, and a lower world. And me and you are stuck in this physical vessel which represents the body of Orion, which must suffer, it must boast, it must go through its ego stage, it must be destroyed, and then it must be raised up again. And that's why Edinburgh has Orion laid over it. And then the north of Scotland has Orion at Haddo House laid over it, because that is the risen Christ. And did these people exist? Yes, because we have the story of Arthur. It's all the same. Arthur goes away, Lancelot is in charge, the hired hand. They put somebody else in charge of the estate. Something happens, he doesn't take care of it. And that's the story of what's happened. That's the story of these plans. Somebody was put in charge as a hired hand. It's the story of Hercules. And Hercules fucked up, because that's why he ends up going on 12 labours. And the 12 labours, Hercules is Christ, by the way, the risen Christ. That's what Hercules is. And Hercules jumping on the snake, and he's holding the dragons. And he's holding the dragon, the serpent energies that are the Kundalini energies, He's holding them. And this was the cause of the fall. She looks in the mirror and is tricked by her own serpent energies, her own desires. But yet here we have Hercules, the called out one. I'm not very good with this because the mouse is not. I need to get a new mouse as well. The mouse is rubbish. Right, so there you got Hercules standing on dragon, and this is all over the British Isles as well. You know, I've showed this. Like I showed this a million times on my page and on the maps.
Do you know what I've always found quite interesting? I've said it a few times, Stephen, over the last few years, in that, like, having travelled around the country, and I've often said that I find the South, having lived in the South and the North, I often found the South to be more materialistic. And that doesn't mean like every single person I come across, but just in general, I found down South a lot more about materialism and stuff like that, compared to people more, more northern.
It's
2 seconds, mate. I'm just going to zoom in, zoom out, just so I can just get your signal back a little bit. Keep dropping out of it, mate. So it's got a bit of lag in there, mate. I'll bring it back in a sec. There you go, mate. Sorry.
I think it's because I'm using this. It's probably because I'm using this map. You see, this is like the north of Scotland. I'm saying that this. What's on the standing stones is actually physical.
I don't think the internet wants you to talk about this one.
Right, and this is up the road, serpent. Now we go back to the stellarium. You can actually see that in the heavens. You can see that he is standing on the Draco. There he is there. Okay? And he's standing on the head of the dragon, yeah? Mm-hmm. And he's wrestling the Hydra. And that is exactly, it's not just Hercules. I've mapped the figures. If anybody looks at my map, you'll see that, you know, it's just full.
Yeah, I don't think this map likes you, mate. Like, you keep breaking up quite a lot.
And they tricked and was taken away, and that's told he has to compete in 12 labours to redeem himself, to become the Redeemer. and he does that, and that's not just the story in the heavens, but it's a story of our calling again, and bringing ourselves out of not based on materialism, not based on material love or things that are driven by passions of the physical, even lusts and stuff like that, but true love and true passion, male and female, or what, true love and true, and not chasing the carnal, which sits at the bottom of the spine, which is all the material, temporal, transient world that mean nothing. And you can see all these stones up. I mean, in the Aberdeen area, I'm marking like physically, this area.
Yeah, I don't think your network likes these maps, mate, because it keeps literally dropping you out for a good minute or so.
No, I don't think so. And it's called Kingswell. So you've got Queenswell, or County as well. And Queen. And there's this battle in the heavens, and you've got Cetus the Beast actually overlaid South Pier. The buildings, they're all aligned. The Walker Park is the nose out. And those
Stephen, I've just sorry, mate. I've just
the families that came in. Surprisingly, that's what the stones are telling us too. The stones are telling us which families came in. Yeah, I think we're losing the signal.
Yeah, sorry, mate. It's the signal was going really bad, and it was like dropping out for like a minute at a time. So I didn't want to keep going, and it's like it was just frozen on the screen.
All right, let's go back, because we've been talking about the Epstein. There's more to that.
Yeah.
Right, see the Virginia, the Virgin, the Maiden. Right, so that word maiden, very important. Okay, right. Louise, renowned warrior, men of renown, Genesis, famous warrior. Yeah, Diana, Athena, the warrior in the heavens. Yeah. Then her name is Guthrie. Her last name, okay, Angela, means judge, magistrate, warden. We're putting it wards. When this catastrophe happens, we're putting it in mental wards, yeah? And the wardens, yeah? The name Guthrie comes from the Sicilian name, meaning Giorgio. Giorgio is the word George. George is Hercules. St. George and St. Hercules and St. Andrews and the Christ, they're all the same people. Slaying the dragon, energies that run up and down the spine. And this is what the British Isles is. The British Isles, every standing stone is a site showing you where George, Andrew, Jock and the Giant, Jock and the Geordies, yeah? You've got the Jocks and the Geordies there. Why are they called why at the border are they called the Geordies? When you go over the border, they're called the Jocks. Jock the Giant Slayer. Yeah, the giants are the serpents, yeah? The dragons.
Yeah.
The Geordies, who are the Geordies? Newcastle folk. Why are they called the Geordies? St. George slaying the dragon. If you go down to Cheddar Gorge, I mentioned this, the first recording. Cheddar means, it's Gaelic, it's Brythonic. Cheddar means a gorge or a valley, a dell, a Mandela, a dell, right? That's what gorge means. Why is it called Cheddar? Because the bottom of the Milky Way is where you get cheddar in the bottom of the urn. Cheddar Gorge. What did it lead out to at one time? It was a waterway that led out into the Irish Sea, which was called St. George's Sea. Why is it called St. George's Sea? Because right down there in St. Michael's Mound, you've got a story of Jack the Giant Slayer, George, at Cheddar Gorge, George, the Valley of George, where he slays the dragon. And if you look at the story of Cheddar Gorge, there's so many dragon stories there.
Yeah.
The Uffington Horse, further up. It's called the Uffington Horse, but it's actually a dragon. It's a dragon, huh? Why is there a dragon there? Because that marks Sagittarius. What's so important about Sagittarius? It's on the stones. In Sagittarius, we should be slaying. I've not got the stones anymore. In Sagittarius, we should be slaying the beasts and the dragons, but they've changed the calendar, so we don't realize. Is this making sense? Yeah. Is it making sense? They're stuck in Capricorn, and Capricorn is the Baphomet. Zeus, when his father was going to eat them, he went to Baphomet. He went to the Baphomet. Zeus represents anything bad of the underworld, yeah. Whereas Sagittarius represents killing all the beasts of the heavens. And that is what we're seeing. That is what our ancestors wrote on all the stones. And it's showing this beast with the twirls on it, 1, 2, 3 twirls. And that's the beast system. And how does it come up? By us looking in our desires. By us looking in our materialistic desires and summoning them up as such by our consciousness. But that's what the British Isles is. It's the right head. It's everything is right, left, but it's opposite, like your organs are. Like the brain operates the opposite side of your body. But that's what the standing stones, like the Uffington White Horse here, I was just speaking about that.
Do you just quickly, Stephen? Do you think our ancestors,
the dragon?
Do you think our ancestors basically created those stones and all the codes and all the messages and all that kind of stuff 5,000 years ago, knowing that we would be sat here like on a podcast in the material world talking about after you've done years and years and years of experience, and I've got a platform, for example, but not just myself, but knowing that obviously humanity would be going through this crazy cycle that we're going through at the minute, this ascension cycle. So, understanding all of this at its deep level is so much more beyond most people's comprehension. So in terms of level of consciousness, for example, do you think that that all those stones were created with this language and everything so that we would, people would actually work it all out and decode it today as part of their journey?
I believe up until probably up until the 1100s, we were, well, whatever the 1100s, what we imagine the 1100s, we were, everybody within Europe were very aware what the British Isles was. Everybody within Europe understood that the story of Adam and Eve, the tree of life and the fruit of life and the fruit in the tree all came from the story of the British Isles. So the top of the tree, the apples, the best of the fruit, the pomegranates, knowledge, all knowledge and wisdom, everything came from the tree of life, which was in the center of the earth, known as Atlantis. And after the disaster, everything broke up. And then these families, what the stones are actually telling us is the Drago. Why have they got this dragon? What's so important about the dragon? Why does the Revelation talk about the dragon? Because these families, they're actually the stars of Lyra, the stars of Vega, the stars of Cygnus the Swan, the stars of Cassiopeia, and the stars of Draco, all fell from and Hydra, all fell from the heavens. And from what I mean by that is physical beings, we all fell from the heavens. All of us, all of us come from the stars. We all fell. But there's on the stones is this ancient battle between a Draco blood family who live, a primordial family who live in the reptilian mind and want to keep everyone in the reptilian mind. And so the standing stones are showing us, that this reptilian mind exists, and this reptilian family still physically exists as bloodlines upon the earth, and they convince us through our own reflections, our own desires. They deceive us and keep us trapped by our own desires, by the serpent energies. They never allow us to rise up into an ascended mind or an ascended man or woman. And that is what the British Isles are all about. And they failed to successfully wipe us out in the 1100s during the Norman invasion, but they managed to invade all of Britain, and slowly through Irish bishops and Irish monks being sent out to places like Lindisfarne, Arran, the Isle of Arran, Iona, and stuff like that, they were able to use the stories of Hercules in the heavens slaying the dragon and create from that story and replicate the stories by bringing all these bishops and monks who became the saints who slayed dragons, like St. Patrick. But the word Patrick and stuff like that, the most famous one, St. Patrick, he chases and kills all the dragons. It's Hercules, yeah. The word Patrick means, it's Latin, it's Roman, it's a title, it means the father. Peter, pater, father. So the Catholic Church came and then they rewrote the story and gave us what we call Christianity. And then that wasn't enough. They realized that they had to split it into, there's three portions in the heavens, there's three laws, to the mind and 3 laws to the body, and there's laws, yeah, to how the body works. So they had to split it into 3. So they created the 3 monolithic religions. Islam, the moon, everything to do with the cycles of the moon. Christianity became everything to do with the cycles and the consciousness of the sun and the mind and the sun. And Judaism became the stars. And that's why they all have the symbols. Judaism has the Star of David, which was to do with the movement of the planets and the stars. So Saturn, being the ruling planet, is associated with the Star of David because Judaism is the stars. Islam has the crescent moon. So and this is what we're seeing on the standing stone. So even up here, the shape of Sagittarius is a crescent, a half moon, an arch. He's an archer. But it's about the sun and moon coming down. And then these reptilian families taking over time and time again, rewriting our history. But in the 1100s, they managed to successfully put out Catholicism in the British Isles, and then managed to plant it in the Far East or the Near East, and then sent out all our kingdoms as crusaders on this fictitious story. And then from the 1100s, it allowed them, the Templars and all this crap, and of Europe and all the upheaval of Europe, it allowed the true story to be forgotten, and the story of Christianity then takes its place. But this is me just showing one stone. I could be on for hours and hours stuff. I could go through so many stones and show you. This is just a maiden stone. It's the same images in all the stones, and that is the image of Hercules. Now, hold on, I was actually going to show something here. This here. Now, you all see this stone. Can I make this bigger? Since my maps are not working and I keep thinking out the maps. Oh, where are you gone now? Right, so you see this stone here. This is a beautiful stone, isn't it? Look at that. Now, this is in the north of Scotland, and it's in a museum, Dunrobin Castle. It's in the museum there. And it's interesting, this museum, because it's laid out like a ship on 3 levels. So it represents the upper world, Orion's belt, and the lower world, the actual museum. And so you have all the animals on the lower level, on the ground. You have birds on the middle level, and this is the middle level. And then you have other things. It's laid out like the ark, and the ark is the 3 heavens, the upper realm, the middle realm. But this stone here is showing you, Combs Beaumont covers in his book, this here is showing you Orion, okay? And he tells you that this is Orion. Now this stone is 5,000 to 7,000 years old, and it's showing you the flood of Noah, what we understand as the plasma event. All the stones in Aberdeenshire show this. See this double? This is the sun and the moon.
Mm-hmm.
So Christianity have taken that, and Islam have taken the moon. And the stars are all these other. So this is Cetus the beast there at the top, coming down on Orion, the living man who must die, the system coming down on him. And here you see Taurus. It doesn't really look like Taurus, but it is Taurus. It's got the horns. This is Taurus the bull, as we see it in the sky. Orion's right there in the sky. I'll just get him up again. Orion's right there in the sky. Look, see? See it?
Yep.
You see Taurus and Orion? Right? Mm-hmm. There's a rabbit down the rabbit hole. And there's the river of Hades taking you down into the underworld. See the souls going down into the underworld? Yeah, the river of hell, the river of Hades taking you down into the material world. But here we have Orion and the bull, okay? And back in the image again. Here we have the same image. You see it?
Yeah.
Now, this is very, very important. What's that at his foot? What's that? Anybody recognize that? We should. It's been in every culture everywhere. What's that at his foot? There's a fish. So does that represent Pisces? It can't, because there's only one fish, so it can't represent Pisces. And here we have a crescent moon. Look, represent Artemis, the female, the bear. But what is this? Well, when you go and look into this, you find out it's known as the Phrygian cap. Yeah, a liberty cap. America was liberated, apparently, in the American Revolution, by men wearing these little hats. These hats, yeah? See them?
They're like little wizard hats, aren't
Yeah, do you know what they are? It's the Paris of Troy. You know, there's Paris of Troy with these hats. You see it?
they? Yep.
Who wears that hat? What is this image showing us on this ancient standing stone? Right? So you've got the beast falling out of heaven. Combs Beaumont mentions this in his book, by the way. That book there, see this golden stone, page 277. I'm not going to go through it now, but he describes exactly what I know. I discovered this book and I thought, shit, that's exactly what I thought it was. Thank you very much. But I'm not going to go into it, but go and look at his book. And what he does, he tells you that Orion, right, Cetus the beast is thrown out of the North Celestial Pole, right? The dragon, the great dragon. And I seen the great dragon who was cast down. And what happened 5,000 years ago was the pole star moved from Draco and moved into Polaris. And the dragon was cast out of heaven and all of his holy ones with him. And what you're seeing here is the hero. This here, this is Orion, and this is the hero appearing. Now, who is the hero in the Phrygian cap? It's all to do with liberty. Who is the hero? Hercules. You see?
Yeah.
Hercules is the hero. Hercules sitting above Orion is the ascended man. Orion is the Christ we must crucify. And right down here, you see the cross, the crux, and it's under the centaur. See here? The cross, right? So we live on a ship, a citizenship, right, that passes from the underworld up onto land. This is Noah's ship, the ship that Noah's Ark. This is also Jonah's ship. And our citizenship is made up of three parts: the Vela, the Carina, the Pupus. The Pope in the Vatican, the Vela in America, and Carina is a corona, is a crown in London. And these are the three parts that hold our citizenship, our birth certificates. But down here, we need to crucify ourselves. Orion has to crucify himself. And the animalistic centaur nature has to be crucified. The animalistic reptilian mind has to be crucified over the animals and the beasts. We have to kill the beasts, the wolves, the beasts of the field, the animalistic natures within us, so that we can rise up to be the ascended Christ, or the Hercules, the called out one who crushes the serpents. That's what it's all about, if that makes sense to you. The heavens are made up of three. So you've got the ascended man, and you've got the ascended woman, who's the Queen Cassiopeia. But you also have the descending man, the sinful man, the wicked man, the Christ that must be crucified, which is Orion. You also have the crooked, wicked woman, the Virgo, the Virgin, or the Andromeda, that must be crucified. And how do we get crucified? By going into the material world, leaving the tree of life of good and evil. The North Celestial Pole is a tree of life of good, of knowledge of life, and the South Celestial Pole, and everything that comes from London and everything that comes from that carnal, material, maritime, admiral world is all below. See, this here is above level, above board, and below level is all water. It's all animals and things to do with water. And what I'm trying to show people is the standing stones are telling us the spine of Albion represents the human body, and we shouldn't be living in the lower reptilian mind where the Kundalini energy wraps around 3 times in the bottom of the spine. We should be living at the top where the crown is, where the corona is, where they called out the ascended man and the ascended woman, Adam and Eve, sitting back on the throne. Yeah.
Well, just a quick one, mate. You mentioned earlier about the ship, the Ark, the Vela and the Carina. Does that obviously circulates around? So,
it does.
Is there a certain point within UK it's kind of fixed to, or?
It only comes up as far as the Hadrian's Wall. It actually comes up over central Scotland. You see, because Orion's the key. Orion is Arran, the land of Arran. Ayrshire, or Aryan, Orion. So Ayrshire, the Isle of Arran is dead center where Orion sits. But this here is Cetus the beast. It's also known as the Leviathan, right? This here's Hadrian's Wall. That word there is Hadrian. There's only an Eridanus, stick an H, Hadrian. Right?
Where would the ship come down to if it goes up to Hadrian's Wall? Does it only come down to a certain place?
Yeah, it goes down to Bristol.
So would that basically be sort of like the length and breadth of Hadrian's Wall down to Bristol? It basically covers.
Yeah. Bristol is the underworld, so it picks up the souls. The Egyptians seen it as the boat that carried the sun. Yeah, it also carried, but they done away with it for one reason. It's still here in the heavens, but they done away with it officially because it represents the Vatican, the all-seeing eye, the sea. You see, the Holy See, right? So the poop is the poopus. The word poopus is also Peter on the ship. So poop, yeah, like a shit deck. Whenever you shit. This is if you go Aberdeenshire and Fraserburgh and Peterhead, the head of Peter, in the north of Scotland, there's lots of shipping. And if you go on a fishing boat today, they have a bit at the front. It's called the poopus deck. And that's the black box where they keep all their navigational stuff. So even today in a ship, they have a box called the poopus. And it's nowhere you do a poop, but it's where all the records of your... And the poop or the pope or the papal records, the all-seeing holy eye, is why everybody's birth certificates are not in Britain. They're outside the Garden of Eden, outside the Holy Land. They're in the Vatican. Everybody's birth certificates. The vela is America. The soul of the nation, the soul of the Celtic people has been sent to the other ends of the earth. And the carina. And you said in your video as well, Stephen was going to show, this is actually North America. This, what we understand is North America. Let me go. It's actually the boat. Let's see. And everything under the boat is lost at sea. Right. I don't want to get lost in that. Every time I go into this, we lose the signal, though, don't we?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. But we've got to crucify ourselves. See, when the Bible talks about Lord of the Flies, Beelzebub. Yeah. See the fly right there. Mexico takes the name because Mexico has the fly over it. Right? That's the name Mexico. Lord of the Flies is what the Bible calls Beelzebub. King James V wrote a book on demons, and one of the first ones he communicates with is Beelzebub, because that's the first demon of the underworld under the ship. And then you've got the Volans and the chameleon and and I said the other last time I was speaking there, if you look at Downing Street, this is what they've got above the door, the peacock, the pavo. If you look at NBC News, you've got the pavo. Our ancestors seen all this at the South Celestial Pole as demons. They didn't even name them before 1700s. These asterisms came into our understanding because they were looking at Greek stories, and then these asterisms didn't exist. Well, they did exist, but they didn't have names. But somebody formalized them as these names in the 1700s because it was understood that this was the place of the hologram, the place of time, the underworld, and the place of the upper mind, and the upper man was up here. And we were living in between such. The Orion's belt is the living man that has to live between the two worlds. But we're actually living between two worlds.
Yeah, and it's what's beautiful is you're saying about living between two worlds, and I was asking about the ship, the Ark, and it was namely Carina.
Yeah.
Obviously, my other half's called Corin, and our little girl's called Vera, like Vera, and she's got she's like obsessed with dragons, but like Corin's written a book. Her first ever book was called Between Two Worlds. So it's really fascinating. You literally just ticked all those boxes, like.
Yeah, this here is North America. You can actually see the bottom of the ship. See here?
Yeah.
This is the bottom of the ship, and this is it's known as Anchorage. Yeah.
Yeah, the capital is called Anchorage, isn't it? Alaska.
It's Anchorage, and this is the rudder of the ship. You see it?
Yeah.
That's the rudder of the ship. This is where the spine of Albion, like this is round here is the spine of Albion, okay, upside down on a globe Earth. But the spine of Albion is this. So many lines, right? The spine of Albion comes out here. This blue line here. See this here?
Yeah.
This is the spine of Albion coming out. Continued it, and in Greenland, the spine of Albion, but it ends up here. And all this is the center of heaven. All this here is the center of heaven. You know what I mean? And
yeah, which explains why obviously Canada, you get obtaining Greenland in Canada.
That's why he wants it. Yeah, it's part of the ship. See all this, the term lost at sea. This is all desert. It's all lost at sea. It's under the ship. When the world has these catastrophes, which is coming soon, this is why we've got so much rain here. You have a build-up of rain, the flood comes, and then a plasma event happens. And that's how it works. Huh? But
do you reckon Golden Gate? Do you reckon Golden Gate? Do you reckon the Golden Gate Bridge in the San Andreas line will be the
city of law?
Say again.
Golden Gate. Yeah, the Golden Gate eclipse that's going on.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to talk about?
So it's in the Golden Gate Bridge and all that sort of like fault line, the San Andreas fault line.
Yeah. It's all to do with the Silver Gate and the Golden Gate in the heavens. There's a Silver Gate and the Golden Gate in the heavens, and that's what the Golden Gate Bridge is. And if you look at my post on Haddle House in the north of Scotland, you'll see that there is a Golden Gate in Haddle House Estate. There's an urn at the bottom. It's all laid out. But yeah, all this here is underneath the ship. The word argo in Greek means earth, right? So I can actually work out what is the earth and what is not the earth. I know what's the earth and what's not the earth. What's not the earth is lost at sea. So everything here, all this, and remember I said Musca is Mexico. Mexico is the ark. That's the ark. North America and Alaska are the back end of the ship, the Argus Navi. Right? Let me show you this. Right? Right? Britain is the mast of the ship. Yeah. Right? It's broken up. The ship's broken up. Right? So you've got the back end of the ship with the anchor and the rudder. This bit here, see this bit here? This is the rest of the ship, the body of the ship here, right? See when you get to the Ganges, the holy site, the Ganges, see this ridge here? This is the bottom of the ship. Nepal, Bunatan, this is the bottom of the ship. You want this is a head like a god, and that's the front of the ship. If you think all the standing stones were put up throughout the British Isles and the rest of the world. You won't find many ancient standing stones in this part of America. You'll find Native American, Indian stones, but there are no ancient stones. You find ancient carvings and pictograms, which is the mast of the ship, and that's what the spine is. The spine represents the sail, and we're the souls, the sail. All of us, everybody from the ends of the earth who are scattered to the ends of the earth are the soul of Britain. Yeah. We are the soul of Britain, and we've been scattered. But the rest of the ship, can you see that? The rest of the ship is here, and everything else, all that is lost at sea. All of it. If that makes sense to you. And this is what Anders Collins shows in his books. He actually shows that Jason and the Argonauts, Hercules, got on a ship, and that ship is the Argus Navi in the heavens. They got on that ship, Jason and the Argonauts, right? And a disaster happened, and they managed to map the entire earth. And that's what our standing stones in the British and Europe are. They put the standing stones up 5,000 years ago when this disaster happened, to show us what happened. First of all, that the sun and moon crashed in Sagittarius and we've been stuck there since. That it hit Aquarius and Orion. It knocked Aquarius out of the sky, and that's where we get the story of Zeus abducting Ganymede, Aquarius. And Aquarius wears the little Phrygian cap as well, by the way. Right? So the Phrygian cap is about liberty and freedom, always has been. The Romans used it, the Americans used it, it's been used by the French, but it's part of the spell, it's part of what's on the standing stones. The Phrygian cap are the heat.
Just a quick question from Joanne. She's asked, does the Ark contain or show scrolls?
Scrolls, no. Inside the Ark, it was understood that all the records, the Ark would disembark in Glasgow at Alexandria, right? Not Egypt, Alexandria, but Alexandria and Glasgow. That's where Orion's foot touches, right? And the bottom of Orion's foot is Regis, the star Regis is where we get the word Regis star. And that's what it's all about. Orion can get on the ship, the citizenship, and go back down and live in his underworld. Or we can realize and wake up out of the Orion, crucify the Christ, get off the friggin' ship. But Regis is that Orion's so important because Alexandria in Scotland is the ancient library of Alexandria. And whoever asked that, very good question. They're not kept on the ship. They're kept on in the library at Alexandria in ancient Egypt. And the upper Clyde and the upper Forth River is ancient, the Nile Delta. And Ireland, the River Liffey, is also the Nile Delta. And the lower Nile Delta is London. So ancient Egypt and ancient Alexandria is where the records were kept. The ship would dock every 24 hours as it moves around the sky, obviously, and it would pick up souls who had passed away. That's how it was seen. And they would register them in Alexandria, just outside Glasgow, at Clydebank, next to Helensburgh, Helen of Troy, ancient Troy. And that's how it was seen. But if you didn't get off the ship, you were seen as going down into Hades with the ferryman. That's how it was seen. You were going down into the underworld. So we had a choice, and we still have a choice. We can live in the upper celestial mind, or we can live in the material mind. But the whole story in the heavens is about crucifying the material man, crucifying the material woman, the virgin or the maiden within us. And going back to, the whole name of, Epstein's Virginia Louise Guthrie, the maiden, the warrior, the magistrate, the warden, these are all, it's, they're all to trigger us to remember that our innocence is deceived by materialism, the child within us. It's like, that's why the New Testament talks about you've got to be like a child, think like a child again, because the eye deceives us. We chase after things that don't really matter, and then we end up paying the price for that. And that's what the story is in the heavens. That's what the story is in the standing stones. As these stories go around, each one of them, each character, whether it's Hercules or whether it's Virgo or whether it's Orion, they have to go through the trials in life to realize who they really are. And Orion represents the physical Peter Pan, really, who never wants to grow up, who doesn't really, and we've got this idea that Peter Pan is a lovely thing, but it wasn't. It was, it was a horrible story written by the Grimm brothers, which was made into a Disney movie to sound lovelier, but it's actually the story of us being taken away to Never Neverland, to the underworld.
A good question here. A good question, speaking of characters and that, is what figure is Trump playing? Is it Hercules for the benefit?
No, he's Cetus the Beast. He's the Beast. He is
really?
Cetus the Beast. Yeah, he is Cetus the Beast. He's a monster. He's one of the Draco families. There are 11 families created, 11 beasts and 14 families. This is Trump's golf course in Aberdeen. You see it?
Yeah, sorry, bro. You
This
keep
is where the
breaking up
battle
again.
began with the crater. Yeah, so this is Trump's golf course, Many Estate. It's laid out exactly as he is the beast. He is Apollyon. He worships Apollo. In the Greek, Apollyon was Apollo, who played the harp, but Apollo was also Cetus, or the Aphoth, the destroyer, and that's Cetus, the beast. In the Babylonian calendar, he's called the great demon. Is a lion. And if you look at anything to do with Trump, there's always lions. The estate, all these estates have lions on them. And the Babylonians seen this as a great lion with the body of a serpent. Yeah, Trump's an absolute monster.
It's interesting because from what I see,
he's keeping everybody on an Orion and their Orion mind. He's keeping everybody.
Yeah, but what I mean is, what from what I see, my side from a military perspective as well, is that like there's many versions of him. It's just like I just see lots of different characters, lots of different actors, that are just literally playing their part. In essence, it's forcing humanity into like an ascension process, isn't it? If you look at the state of everything and everywhere, it's literally the systems are all collapsing because I guess we're rising, and when I say we're rising, it's not the whole of humanity. It's the people who are viewing this, the people who understand this, the people who are at that kind of level of consciousness to understand that everything you're seeing is just surface level. It's just surface level because everything's about returning to sovereignty and God at the end of the day. Not but like I said last week, we don't die with tabloids, we don't die with council tax bills, and we don't die with who's a pedo and stuff. Although it is important to know that, but like we die with the upper knowledge of like the biggest truth of them all, like beyond all the veils, is who we truly are.
Yeah, all these characters, they have multiple body doubles. They all have body doubles. Trump is. There's probably about 20 Trumps, 30 Trumps. There's about 15, 28 Saddam Husseins. They all have doubles, and the reason why, because the heavens has doubles, heaven is duplicated. Prince Charles represents Cephas at the moment. Camilla, there's Camilla there. Camelopardus. Camilla, right? American elections, they also had Camilla Harris, right? Jesus said, it's easier for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven than it is for a camel to enter. You see that? See this?
Makes sense.
That's what he's talking about. It's all the heavens. It's easier for a rich man. What word in Latin or Greek was he using? Noble. What's the word noble? Noble is representing the stars. It would be easier for a fallen star or a camel to enter. That's what we don't. Your wealth and materialism is brought to you by the same families, the Draco families. Everything is brought. Spirituality, false spirituality, folks. It's all created by the Draco families. If it doesn't come from the tree of life, if it doesn't come from the North Celestial Pole, it comes from the ecliptic, which is the imagination of man. If it doesn't come from the imagination of man, it comes from the lower realm, from the Draco, from the serpent energies itself. And the upper mind, there's 7 stars up here, 7 main stars. Judaism has 7 lamps on its menorah, right? There's 7 stars, and they're called the imperishable stars. They represent what is real in the mind, and it represents the male and the female ruling over the serpent energies. At the moment, all those in leadership are pretending to be the king, right? All those who are not the king of Britain, the king of the royal, right, are pretending to be Orion. Trump is pretending to be this part of the heavens. He's not pretending to be Orion. He's keeping us in the mind of Orion, this ecliptic. See this portion here?
Mm-hmm.
All the stories in the heavens are this portion in the heavens really as well. But your Ghislaine Max and all that are focusing on the north, and that's why the stories are there, not to put fear into us, but to tell us we need to look to the north, where the maiden was tricked. The maiden, where she was tricked. So, yeah.
It's interesting as well. Going back to just quickly to the north and south of UK, and I spoke to you before about like obviously I live in Lincoln. Obviously, spend a lot of time at the cathedral. Take a lot of people there. Very powerful building and perfectly situated. But before I lived here, I lived in Salisbury. You know, and you mentioned earlier about being in the underworld, the Salisbury. But the difference, even though the two cathedral castles hold the Magna Carta, the Salisbury was always felt really dark when I've been in there, and it even looks kind of darky gothicy from the outside. But like during COVID, for example, they opened up as a full-on vaccine center. They flew the trans flags. They like any sort of
the Magna Carta's fake. It's no use to anybody.
But yeah, it's not the original writing, is it? There's other
no,
parts.
No, I don't mean the document's fake. The document's real, but it's no use to anybody because the Magna Carta is for the barons, and that means that you put yourself under the bar. The heavens of the bar. Cephas and Cassiopeia sit on the bar of heaven. Everything under the bar means they're under the law of the dragons. And it was signed by the bar. And see, even the word Magna. Magna is magician, magi, the 3 stars of Orion. Carta is the car, the carriage, the circle. Yeah, Cartier jewellery, the gems. The Magna Carta is no use to anybody because all it does is hold you under the bondage of the barons. Also, the word Magna is the magnificent Charles. Carta means Charles, Charmale, the magnificent Charmale dynasty. That's the word is Charmale. See if you take the word the Charmale dynasty, Magnale, Magna Char. It's the same word, flip them around. Magna Carta, it's fake. The only thing that's true is the heavens, the laws in the heavens. The Magna Carta won't help you. Scottish independence, none of it will help. None of it will get you. I've been fighting the law forever. The Magna Carta is, it will upset people, but I've been saying it for years. The Magna Carta is utter nonsense. It's a trap. It's Prince Charles today is Charles the Magnificent. He is a descendant of the Charlemagne dynasty, and that's why he is called Charles. Charles means free man. Under the law, free man charter. None of us are free until we understand where we come from in this battle in the heavens. And that's why our ancestors wrote it in stone, not on paper. Paper's corruptible. Paper comes from the tree. If something's on the tree, it's not right at all. You kill a tree to take paper. That's wrong. How can that be nature and right? If it's carved in stone, that's the truth. Why did Moses carve them in stone? Paper's no good. It can be changed. It's lies. It's total lies. The magnificent charter is the spine of Albion. That's the most magnificent charter because right in Orion's belt is the 3 stars of Orion, the 3 Magi's. There's your Magna, magnetic pole. There was a plasma event. It sparked in Orion, the magnetic charge. The bright star of Sirius raised on the 15th of December. Sirius is Isis. Sirius and Isis, Orion, resurrecting Orion from the dead. The plasma, boom. That's what hit. The Earth hit. Anything that's to do with the Magna Carta is to do with the underworld. It's to do with the event, the magnificent charge. That's what it's about, the plasma charge. So anybody that puts herself under the magnificent charge, the magnetic charger, is pointing at the 3 stars of Orion, the 3 Magi, and they're under in death. They're in death because they're putting themselves under the Magna Carta.
Interesting.
It's brilliant, mate. Once you understand the heavens, you realise I've been disputing with people for years about the Magna, even common law. Common law is a load of nonsense. You know the heavens, then that's the law, not common law. If there's a common law, that means there needs to be a law for the upper realm or for the upper escalons. If we're commoners, then what are they? What law have they got? Common law is lies. There is no commoner. I'm not a commoner. I'm a king. I'm sovereign. I set a seat on. My mind is balanced, the male and the female energy. I understand what happens. I understand that the dragon energies deceive us, that materialism deceives us, and we're taken down into the material, corporate, dead world. No, my mind sits on the upper throne. I'm not interested in what happens in the ecliptic, not at all. There could be a storm in the ecliptic. There could be a total eclipse, which there is coming up. I don't care a shit. The eclipse. A retrograde doesn't bother me. My mind's in the upper realms where Christ told me to be. Why am I worrying about the planets? Why am I worrying about the fallen stars and these energies that come in? Do they affect my mind? Only when my mind's living on the physical, material Orion realm. But I'm an ascended man. I'm an ascended woman. Our minds are up there with the queen and the king on the throne. This world and all of it doesn't make any sense. It's nonsense until you understand that you're sitting on the throne and that you are the epicenter, and all this around you is about a maiden, your daughter, being sacrificed to a system. Did these children get abused? No, it's about, did they? It probably didn't happen.
What's really interesting, as you were saying all that, it literally shows you this in the Game of Thrones. Like it is literally like the hero's journey. Like you are like Jon Snow almost. Like the hero's journey, going through all these trials and tribulations, these battles, these traumas, these like death and rebirth, and connecting with your dragon. And then eventually taking the Iron Throne, which is your crown, like, and the upper heavens, the upper realms, as the king of, as the king at North.
I haven't watched the Game of Thrones, but excellent you just mentioned that there, Iron Throne. The Egyptians called the House of Cephas the Iron Throne of Osiris, the king. And when Osiris was crucified in the central belt, Orion, when he gets crucified, it represents Hercules. The story of Hercules is Orion too, the material man, because he gets to redeem himself and then he's placed in the heavens as a risen man. And it's the same story as Cassiopeia. She sells her soul to the serpent. She gets herself tricked. Her daughter gets tricked. Andromeda, Persephone, goes down into Hades, into the material world, forgets her own spiritual crown. And yeah, the only way you can get back is by killing your ego, killing everything in that central realm, Orion's belt, wherever it is, because it's laid out 3 times over Britain. So our ancestors knew where to go, where Orion was marked, like on this. Every time I go into this map, it slows down. But in England, in Ireland, Orion would be marked somewhere down here. I don't know if I froze again, but Orion is there, Tipperary. So everything to do with the material, physical is played out on the standing stones in Tipperary. And then again, over on Britain, you didn't have to come to the north. People knew that the kingdom of heaven was in the north, but we would come to these areas. Hercules is marked somewhere down here. I can't see in the south, and then he's marked up in the very north of Scotland. So these 3 areas, we understood that it was about ruling over the material, and that's what we all need to put an end to. We need to put an end to this corporate. We're living in an absolute lie because of this corporate system that most people believe is real, and we're actually not living in our true minds or our true projected reality, because we are the creators. We're living in a lower projected reality. And that's why I was trying to show the chakra things, that we're living in our lower chakras, materialism.
Well, we're living. A lot of people are still living in the base 3 DNA strands, aren't they? So, which is your material world and stuff like that. So, when you start like actually reconnecting with like D4 to 6, D7 to to 9, etc. That your upper strands of DNA is when you start reconnecting with the Christ consciousness within, and that is done through the inner work. And this is why I've been trying to not steer people away, because everyone's on their own journey, but I've been really trying to voice that there's a lot of people out there right now, because of the frequencies, it's frying people's fucking brains, right? Then people have changed, right? And it's just, and they're stuck in this what I can only describe as a black pill mentality, where they're just keeping people in looping systems, whether it's looping information of fear-based bullshit that's purely there to test you, or it's repetitively going on protests to the same places, literally screaming and shouting at NPCs who cannot understand what you're saying because they're not the same frequency as you. They're there in the material world being NPCs, and it's just getting people going round and round in loops again.
You just said something there as well, which everything's made to make us look to the North Celestial Pole. NPCs, non-player characters. Jiggles around North Celestial Pole. Trends are put into action for us to be not triggered, to remember.
Yes.
Yeah. So everybody's talking about non-player characters. Every single town we go to, you'll see an NCP car park, 10, 20 of them sometimes in some cities. 3 levels. They're always 3 levels as well, these NCP car parks, usually. But yeah, everything's to make us remember. Even the non-player characters is to make us look to the North Celestial NCP, North Celestial Pole, non-player character, NPC.
Yeah.
I put this back on, right? I put this image back on of Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. Now, what the standard stones were shown is for 5,000 years, that what we understand is December the 21st, we've actually still been in Sagittarius, right? So there are people out there because who are practicing this Kundalini energy, and all it is actually giving power to the serpent cult. And because they moved their calendar, and we're actually Capricorn, we're not in Capricorn, we're in Sagittarius, when we should be defeating this primordial reptilian mind within us, and we're actually feeding it. When we come into January and we are in Capricorn, we're very weak. Yeah, we're weak because we have no money. We're exhausted after maybe drinking too much alcohol at Christmas or New Year, or overeating, and we're not very healthy, and we're down, and we're no money because it's January. Yeah? And that's really when we are in Capricorn. We've moved when we should have been, when people think they're in Capricorn. And Capricorn is to do with Zeus, the underworld, the death. The Capricorn is to do with the beast system. Huh? And so when we come into January, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and everything, we're actually exhausted. But we don't realize it. And so when we officially move, the sun officially moves into Capricorn, our energies are taken again, even because Capricorn is the energy that winter, it's death, it's to do with death. So January, because the heavens are the power and the energy, and because January is when Capricorn is, we get attacked in January. We feel weakened. We have headaches. We have sore bodies. We have, so yeah, they've stuck us in that. That's what I'm trying to show us. The Goldsby Stone shows us that, and they've stuck us in that. Now I'm going to finish off because we've done a few hours as well, haven't we? So
I was about to say I'm very appreciative of your energy as well. So.
Oh, no worries at all, mate. I want to get this out. I want people to see this. And
Amazing.
The reason why it's not easy is because, for a start, the Greek culture were many different peoples, right? There were Thracians, Dacians, so on and so on, and we lumped them into one small place in the Mediterranean. But the Greeks had various different stories that overlap. The Babylonian calendar, I would say to people, the Babylonian calendars and the sky maps and stellarium, for me, are the best way to suss out what's going on. Huh? But you have to look at all the different softwares and look at the stones and then say, oh, what's that? Now we're looking at the Goldsby Stone. I'll finish off with this, and it's telling you here, this is the end, it's the appendix B of the Goldsby Stone. It's The Great Deception, Syria, Rome. And this book basically tells you everything about Troy. Troy was here, Dumbarton, Helensburgh was Troy. It was destroyed. A comet destroyed it. It also destroyed Pompeii, which is Portsmouth, and it completely destroyed the British Isles. And this is what all the stones, he says, he's taken this stone in Goldsby, which is up in Dunrobin Castle, which I was showing earlier on, and you see this frigging cap. Do you know what's funny? I was saying to Angela, my partner, we don't say effing, right? We say friggin'. Right, so instead of saying, see that friggin' dog, we say that friggin' dog, or that, oh, friggin' hell, instead of saying the F word, we always say friggin'. It's all, our language is laced with clues and memories for us. Here we have this, the friggin' cap, which is Hercules. Now, Hercules is Thor, the hammer, and he's hitting. That's what we're seeing, and we see the serpent. This is the Eridanus. But I'll read through, right, when then we'll close. So this is what Combs Beaumont puts in his book, Britain the Great, and he describes. So I'd worked all this out on the stone. Not all of it. He actually helped me in a huge way to finalise in my mind what I was reading on the stones. But he goes on about the Goldsby Stone, a zodiac record of the flood, and the period when Hercules cast down his pillars, is a stele of archaic design standing upright about 6 feet in height in Creighton Churchyard, Dunrobin, Sutherlandshire. It's no longer there, it's in Dunrobin Castle in the museum now, but anyway. Its engraved symbols were erected by survivors, doubtless Caledonian Druids, in order to convey the story of the tenebrous event. It gives the most incisive evidence of the intention of those who erected it, but there are several others others of like character still standing and gradually deteriorating through weather in the long ages. These priceless relics should be carefully preserved by the nation, but the generality of the archaeologists are ignorant of the cause which led to these erections or the meaning of their symbols in the first place. The Goldsby stone is probably more than 3,200 years old. It's older than that. It's 5,000 years old. This vastly interesting stone contains 9 separate figures, 10 if we include the series of figurative serpents entwined along the sides. A celestial invasion, a plasma event. For according to ancient myth, Typhon or Set, Cetus the beast, Typhon, Apollyon, a fire-breathing dragon with 100 serpentine heads, various fearsome voices and destructive winds, contended with Zeus for the throne, Cephas, Peter, for the throne, and hurled him to the earth with lightning, according to Homer. And this is what we're seeing in the stones. In the land of Aram, the land of Chaldea, Caledonia, although another account says he was crushed to death in Sicily, originally the Isle of Man, which would make sense because Orion's foot and register and the ship, the register ship, so it would make sense the Isle of Man could have been where he killed it. So what we're seeing on the top of the stone, this is the stone, let's go back, see here? So he goes through this book explaining, and I'll dive through it as quick as possible. So he's showing here what the Masons call the squaring of the heavens, you see? The top of it is the square of the heavens. So the figure of Gothic stones explained, Par Amon, or Hermes, and Ptah, which means father, Peter, Ptah, divided the heavens into 4 quarters, north, south, east, west, and formed the square of heaven. Apollo, or Horus, was the guide of the northern horizon, and was depicted in the form of a bird, an eagle. And there's the bird there, and the eagle's face. There's 2 birds, 2 eagles' faces there. There's a design outlines the hawk's head, a hawk's head in duplicate, right? So that's it there, the 2 hawk's heads. So this is the foundation of the world, right? This is what he said. The design outlines the hawk's head in duplicate attached to each side of the pole. The pole's in the middle here. With a watching eye. Note also that this design gives the center of the tau, which inverted symbolizes destruction, as does similarly the alpha or the omega. If you turn the omega upside down, it's the tau. Right? Anyway, this is part of the heavens invisible to the mortal eyes, and as such is divided off from the lower part. Here appears in triplicate the sign of Aries. Aries, see it? 1, 2, 3, right? So it's telling us when the plasma event happened. This is a calendar. When did it happen? In Aries. It happened in Aries, right? At the vernal equinox. Yeah, right. So meaning that it had not. So this is the part of the heaven invisible to the mortal eyes, and as such is divided off from the lower part. Here appears in triplicate the sign of Aries. 1, 2, 3. In which case concealed in its house, meaning that Aries has not risen yet above the equinox horizon, but is destined shortly to emerge, the sign to be at the vernal equinox. So we determine what age we're in by what signs at the vernal equinox. So Aries, this is the age of Aries, this has happened. This is what the stones are telling us. This plasma event happened in the age of Aries. And in the beginning of the age of Aries, and the sign of Aries had just made it into the vernal equinox, which is the ecliptic part of the sky, which is all important. Then you've got this picture, this strange amphibious beast affecting dry land and sea with a single extended horn, a big eye, a duck's beak, a trump. He's got a trump. Flickers on a tail, represents Cetus, sometimes described as the Leviathan, and this is why Edinburgh's called Lothian, Leviathan. The beast sits over the Leviathan, Lothian, and whale, and this is why we've got the Prince of Wales, because he's the Prince of the Beast. Yeah, the Prince of Wales, and the boat and the beast would go down to that part below Wales. Anyway, archaeologists totally aware of the identify the monster as an elephant. The importance of this figure in the science of eschatology is regarded by ancients as evidenced by the fact that this sinister emblem appears in no fewer than 22 standing stones, basically, in Scotland. There's more than that. There's about 40 standing stones with this on it. I know, because I searched them out. The celestial sign Cetus properly lies between the sign of Taurus and Aries, and the instruction here is that this horn indicates pointing to the first house of Aries, the bright star in the cluster. Basically, I'm not going to read it all because there's so much. But basically, there's Taurus. He's telling you here, the zodiacal bull, Taurus. Then he's saying here, this is Orion, which I've worked out a long time ago. This constant's properly order places westward, traditionally the hunter with his axe and club. He seems to be a menace to the bull. And the reason why he's a menace to the bull is because the physical man and the physical woman will not go through the Taurus field up into the higher mind. We want to stay in the lower mind. We want to stay in the reptilian mind. And this is why it looks like a reptile. You see his face? He's a reptilian mind. He's not moving up into the higher consciousness. He's stuck in the low mind. And you notice he's got a Phrygian cap on as well? You see? He's wearing a cap. So who's the most famous? Hercules is the most famous for it. Also Paris of Troy. If you look at Paris of Troy, he boasted he was a love, like Greek. They loved their bodies, they loved their minds. They, you know, materialistic. The Greek people were very. If you look at the statues, it's all about the body and the mind and the physique, and and that's the ego that we've got to crush and reach the spirit. And that's why this Orion here has a reptilian head, because the ancient ones knew that in the age of Aries, this disaster happened. The disaster happens because of us. I think I said that to you before, and I always say it on my page. The more materialistic we are, it brings a negative energy. Santa brings good gifts from the north if you're good, but if you're bad, yeah. So our negative behaviors, our materialism, creates this plasma event that builds up in the north, and that's why the storm. That's why we're going through storms just now. The plasma event is about to happen sometime soon.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I just saw earlier that South Spain and Portugal being absolutely smashed, like flooded.
Yeah, the flood is what we'll get in the northern hemisphere. That's the Noah's flood, right? And the electrical charges make their way up from the South Pole until finally they pull all the lands that are under everything that's under the Argo Navi, everything that is not Argo, Earth, gets pulled away.
Fair enough, man.
And
well,
so this is what the story is telling you. It's telling you here, and it's telling you here that this here is Aquarius. This is the key to all. Zeus abducted Aquarius, and Aquarius is the one with the little hat, the Phrygian hat. So what happened is the lightning bolt struck Britain right down the spine, took Aries from the eastern shore and threw it right over to the western shore, flipping the poles, throwing Sagittarius, throwing Aquarius, throwing Capricorn, and so on and so on. And everybody should go and get that book. I'll actually put another link up tonight, right? I will put a link up for people to download it tonight. But I'm going to close. I'm going to close off. But just before I close off, I'm going to show you a picture that I should have. Yes, I have here. Right. This is ancient Babylon. This is Sumerian tablets. Okay. What Combs Beaumont describes on that standing stone, and what's described in all the standing stones in the northeast, is a plasma event hitting Orion's belt, the Magna Carta. He's the Magna Carta, the magnificent Charles. He is the magnificent eagle, the magnificent free man. I'm a free man on the land. That's what it's all about. And Orion this is an ancient Assyrian thing. You can see the Templar cross here. This is north. This is the fixed cardinal points: north, south, east, west.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You can see St. Andrew's cross here.
Yeah.
He's got a watch on. It's all about time. He's pointing at something. Usually he's got an acorn or a pineal there, but he's not. He's just pointing his finger at this ridge, arch in the heavens. It's an arch. See the heavens? It's the arc of heaven. And he's pointing at this. Well, he's not pointing at this, but this is the sun. I've got them all written. So this is the sun. This is Capricorn. This is Cancer, and this is Aquarius, the water bearer. You see?
Yep.
Water on it.
Amazing. And
what it's actually shown there is what the standing stones in the north of Scotland, where they got the story of the Bible from, what actually happened. This Adam and Eve, the sun and moon, which represent the sun and the moon, came down, were knocked down into Capricorn, into Cancer, through the gates of Cancer, and we ascend through the gates of Cancer, back up again. We can ascend through Cancer. It's the gate, pick yin and yang, or yin and yang. and Aquarius. And what I was talking about earlier on is Aquarius was knocked out of the heavens. Aquarius was everything was at the north celestial pole, and everything got knocked out of the heavens down into and created what we understand today as an ecliptic part of the sky. And everybody goes by the zodiac, which is off by a month or more even, and we're all fixed in those energies on this fixed cross here, where they're looking at it, they're stealing our energy, and time stood still. Basically, this is what this is showing us here. Time stood still, and it has stood still because they kept us on that calendar since Babylonian time. And they've adjusted it time and time again to make sure that we're always stuck in Sagittarius and not in Capricorn when it's Christmas, the time when we should be the animalistic nature, and the man should be ruling over the horse, and the horse is the hippo, the brain, the mind, the hippocampus. And our ancient ones knew this. The ancient ones knew that all these star signs in the heavens represent physical electron, places in the brain that we had to charge, and that's why the spinal band weaving was created, so that we would move up the body, charging our body throughout the year. Like December, we would go, to Sagittarius. But I need to change this because this is wrong now. This is what the world go with. That the summertime is Cancer, and Capricorn is. It's wrong though. This should be Sagittarius, and that means that this will be one sign out. But that's what I'm in the process of doing now, because they've actually got the rhythm of our bodies, our clocks, and the heavens completely off.
Yeah,
and everybody's
amongst
themselves because they think they're right. I'm such and such a sign. I'm this. No, you're not. No, you're not. We don't even know where we are. But this is what I'm trying to do, because our ancestors mapped it all of the body. And now that I know, it's only been a few months that I've begun to realize what the stones are actually showing. I knew what the stones were showing me, but I didn't understand the significance of the half man, half horse centaur. But I do now, because I observed it this year. I was looking up on the solstice and I'm thinking, we're in Sagittarius. And I've just done a post on Sagittarius. I know what Sagittarius is all about. Wait a minute. And then I realised, Aska, they've trapped us in this beast. It's a beast. The Capricorn's a beast there. And that's where Zeus goes to hide from his father, Kronos. And Kronos is time. Zeus is the deceiver. Zeus is Yud He Vav He. Jehovah, Jupiter. And I was saying to my partner about this is amazing as well. You've got Pan, Peter Pan. You've got the Pan, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, the plough, right? Everything's duplicate, right? So the people who control us and manipulate things, they've put a title to planets and called it Jupiter, which then they created Jehovah. But Jupiter just means do Peter, de Peter, duo, Peter, twice Peter, right? Twice father, right? So they've actually created two fathers. Peter's pearly gates, Cephas the king, and Cassiopeia, a mother and father in the heaven, manifest Adam and Eve. But they've actually used the heavens, which everybody's chasing. But that in planets, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, where are they in the sky? Where are they in the ecliptic? How's that going to affect me? It's a load of nonsense because they've made them up. Do Peter, Jupiter, Jehovah is a fake, a copy, a duo, a copy of Peter. It goes back to what we were talking about. All these people in leadership all have doubles. They all have doubles because the heavens has doubles. There was no Jupiter, there was no Mars, there was no Saturn, there was no Venus. These are all the house of Cephas. In fact, if they all circled the North Celestial Pole, they were the upper mind. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Venus. These are all the mind of Adam, which has been scattered. And that's all the planets are. It's the mind of Adam scattered. People shouldn't be focusing on where's the planet in the ecliptic. We need to put to death the ecliptic. That's what the story of Orion, Osiris, and the Christ is all about. Christ gets crucified at the cross. He has to get crucified before he gets off the ship. Or he's the ego fighting on the land for everything. The maritime man, the free man looking for it all. Free for all. And we have to put, and everybody's still living in the ecliptic. They're looking at the star signs, they're looking at the zodiac, and they're looking at what wrong. But they think the solution is in Orion, but it's not. The story is we put to death Orion. We put to death Orion and raise ourselves up to the North Celestial Pole, where the 7 lights of heaven, the 7 luminaries, just never go out. And the 7 luminaries are the temple. The temple has a lamp inside it with 7 lights that never goes out in Judaism. And that represents knowledge, wisdom. In fact, if you look at the Kabbalah have 3 branches at the very top in the Kabbalah tree. And it's Chokhmah, Bina, wisdom, knowledge, dat, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And we need to have the Trinity, the 3, the mind, the upper world, the middle part, and the lower world. Knowledge, dat, or to know is dat in Hebrew. Bina is wisdom, and then at the very top you have Keter, which is the crown. And nobody can have, according to Judaism, unless you have those 3 crowns. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding brings the crown, and it allows you to sit as king, Cephas, on the throne again. And the Kabbalah tree has that at the 3 branches at the top, but it represents the 3 realms of heaven: the upper world, the lower world, and the ecliptic. But we all have to be master of the ship. We have to be master of our own mind, which is the vessel of the ship. The mind is the vessel too. We have to be master of the ship, of the upper mind, the lower mind, and the ecliptic man. We have to deny the self, deny the physical, deny the Christ, to raise the Christ up to be Hercules standing on the serpent. And that's how our ancestors seen it. And that Hercules was seen as Marduk to the Babylonians. He is Marduk. That's where we get the word Mori. It's where we get the word Ducati, the Dukes of Mori, Morishire. Marduk. Morishire, the word Mori in Hebrew means teacher. Mori Zadek in Hebrew means the righteous teacher. So Hercules is called the Mori Zadek. But Hercules represents the ascended man or the ascended woman, that the righteous teacher. Mori means teacher. And if you look up inside Tain in Inverness, it's called Morishire. Moray. In fact, not Buckingham Palace, the Queen, Bal Moral, Mora, the hill of Mar. Mar, it is Moray, which means teacher in Hebrew, and which means head. So you would say Mori Zadek, a head teacher. Mori Zadek, a head teacher in the school. So Scotland is called Morayshire, after Hercules, who is the Mori Zadek. Marduk, the Duke of Mori, Marduk. And Marduk is the son of Cephas, son of Nka. And if you go look at Marduk is Hercules. Marduk is the one who slayed the dragon and gave us freedom, made us a free man. Charles Magna. He made
it's so fascinating that you could literally, like, if you obviously understand the information as much as you do, you could literally like just go on permanent send, couldn't you? How all the words make everything. And as you said the word free man a number of times. I talk about ancestors. My grandfather, he was the second man to land on Juno Beach, and Juno is, I understand, is a goddess of love. He's Canadian infantry, and his name is Eldon, as in elder, and his middle name is Freeman. And he said, he taught me my greatest lessons, and he said, before I went to Afghanistan in 2011, I asked him a few questions about like when he was in war and all this kind of stuff, and what kind of stuff did he say to his section and stuff like that. And he said I often said to people, like, nothing's more important than standing toe to toe with tyranny. And I always remember those words. Always remember them words. And yeah, he taught me my greatest lessons. And I mean, I haven't come through so much in meditations as well. Like, I know there's some fucking serious nudging and guiding going on a daily basis, which is good. But bro, I'm so thankful for you coming on again and sharing, like, your own pearly gates of wisdom. It's absolutely fascinating. People are already asking for a third podcast, but it would be good to obviously continue the series and create structure for the next episode. Very very conscious of time as well. But guys, if you haven't done so already, please follow Steven on Facebook and his YouTube channel as well. Loads more content, loads more videos. Like obviously you mentioned, he just did a post just on Sagittarius earlier, just all that kind of stuff. Like you can get on his Facebook page, which he makes everything public. He's absolutely
check out my
phenomenal.
Facebook page.
But bro, thanks
go
again.
look at my, No worries, Matt. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you
it's
for
been an
having
absolute
me
pleasure.
on.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's vast, because I study loads of stuff, so it's vast, trying to narrow it down. But it's on the stones, the story of Adam and Eve, the story of the Bible, the story of our salvation. There is no saviour coming for us. The salvation is written on the stones. We are our own salvation, and we are our own destruction. That's what the stones are telling us. And it's the South
100%.
Celestial Pole. As I said earlier, it's quite simple, the Santa thing. If you're a good child, Santa brings gifts from the North Pole. If you're bad, if we bring bad energy, we get bad energy. If we're taking things that are, if we're picking fruit that's not from this tree, if it doesn't come from Britain, you're going to reap it. You're going to reap hell. If it comes from the underworld, anything under the ship, if it comes from the underworld, and that's what they feed us. They feed us underworld.
Beautiful, mate. Thank you again, man. And thank you guys and girls for tuning in. If you stuck with us to the end, absolutely amazing. Well done.
Thank you.
I hope you learned a lot. And as I put on the scrolling thing there, if anybody wants to explore connecting with loads of like-minded souls, especially people that on this podcast, please have a look at our lifetime memberships on missionconsciousness.com. I've got loads of stuff going in there at the minute, mini courses, recorded meditations, connections with obviously loads of like-minded people, weekly hub chats, all that kind of amazing stuff. So please check that out. But we'll be back very soon. I'll notify everybody of another podcast as soon as that's been arranged. But for me and Stephen, much love, ladies and gents. Look to the stones and the stars and the scholars. And I'll see you again very soon on Transmissions with AJ. Much love.
Much love. Keep looking up.